Hello everyone, and welcome to another boss ASMR video. This one isn't going to be Dark Souls, but it is going to be one of my favorite games of all time. Released all the way back in 2005, and this is of course the newest remaster of Shadow of the Colossus. This is one of my all-time favorite games. I remember that I've played it on the original PS2 ever since it came out, and I gotta say I've really been enjoying this remaster version. It just feels to be like the fully complete game that the designers had wanted to make, with no graphical limitations of the console, but at the same time I still feel that it's true in spirit to the original, and any little changes here and there, they aren't really that big to sort of ruin the vibe of the original. So I'm going to be showing you the footage of my first victory over each of the bosses, plus I'll show you the relative idea of how to actually get to the boss, since that's a good chunk of the game as well. And I'll be showing you all of the cutscenes. Now, I'm going to try to talk as much as possible for this video, but unlike Dark Souls, where every boss has like 27 pages of its own lore and story, so I'll try to do my best to find interesting things to talk about, but what I might end up doing is including some other types of ASMR sounds or triggers or something like that to try and fill up the gaps in the video. And I guess you'll eventually find out what I decide to do. But in the meantime, let's enjoy this lovely opening cinematic. I really like that this game is very visually told. A lot of visual storytelling. There's very little dialogue in the game, and that's because it's a very simple, straightforward story. This character of ours is named Wander, and he has his trusty horse, Acro, and he has come to this forbidden land to try to figure out a way to resurrect this girl he has on the horse named Mono, or Mono. Let's say Mono, because why not? And basically you'll see that there's this sort of god or demon named Dorman, and he wants us to defeat 16 Colossi that will allow us to gain the power to resurrect Mono. So that's the basic setup for the game, and the basic intro. You go around and you slay the Colossi. And here we go. This is the main menu. I will say one thing that's a change that I'm a little disappointed by is this main menu. You see, it's this sort of view of the Shrine of Worship. I don't know, the original menu, you had a much further away view, and maybe it was kind of like oversaturated and overly bright, but I think it had a bit of a better sense of scale. So maybe that's one element I prefer in the original. But I do think overall I like the fact that this feels more smooth than the original. Perhaps that could be due to a faster frame rate. I'm not exactly sure. It was something I noticed when playing the remaster of BioShock. It didn't seem like it was that much graphically better, but it definitely felt like everything was more smooth and faster and flowing, almost as if there was like some kind of a lag that had always been there that I hadn't noticed that had been suddenly removed. But again, I am also a console peasant, so what do I truly know about such things? I've always liked how this game is very slow, methodical pacing, and everything's really drawn out to give you the sense of atmosphere. It's something that I know not everyone loves. I do have a few friends who absolutely hate this game, and that's because they understand that it's like a very open world, but there's nothing really to explore. And I guess I could sort of understand that. Like, in other games, if you like explore to the edge of the map, you might find some kind of hidden secret or some kind of a special mission or something like that. But in this one, it's the only thing you can find is a Colossus, and the only one you can fight is the next one. If you go to any other area where there is supposed to be another Colossus, it just either won't be there or won't activate, and you won't be able to do the fight. So, here we've placed Mono on the Shrine of Worship, and Dorman is going to appear. I think it's funny, I'm pretty sure if you spell Dorman backwards, it spells Nimrod. So, maybe we're just gonna refer to him as that from now on. Nimrod. I mean, it's kind of a nice name. Just from this shot along with the face, you can see all of the improvements in the details and the graphics, and again, that's because this game is like a full from the ground up remake, so not really a remaster. And I'm really glad that they went to the effort of all that. I think it does say something that we're seeing a lot more games remastered or remade rather than new ones developed, but in some cases it's a good thing. I like that I'm able to still play games that maybe I don't have access to anymore, especially with backwards compatibility not being as much of a thing as it used to. I mean, it could just all be some kind of a corporate scheme to force us to rebuy all of our games when they do remake them. But if they do good ones like Shadow of the Colossus and they do them right, I will totally buy into it. So, from the story that Lord Ammon, I believe is his name, this land is forbidden and we're not supposed to be here, and of course we will soon find out why. So I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you haven't played this game already, you definitely should. It's really great. It's available for PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. But Nimrod, he's evil, because he's a demon monster, and his soul has been split into 16 parts and then remain in each colossi. So, by killing these colossi, we're actually slowly freeing him, and his spirit's possessing us. You'll see, like, the demon monster sort of possesses you after you defeat each colossi. So, it's an interesting story. It's telegraphed pretty heavily, but it still makes for a nice twist at the end of it all. And of course here, Nimrod realizes that we possess this ancient sword, and this allows you to track the colossi by pointing the beam of light towards where they all are hidden. So, in terms of other review things, kind of feels like it's the game it was originally meant to be. Everything flows properly, which is really good. Not too much has been changed. I mean, there was nothing new really added in, except for one little Easter egg for the last Guardian. So, if you're looking for like a boss rush mode, or them adding in like a bunch of the original ideas of the Colossi, you're going to be disappointed because that hasn't been added in. But I am okay with that because the thing with this world is the developers made it so that it was perfectly designed to have 16 Colossi in it. And for them to add extras or do stuff like that, they'd have to change up the entire world to accommodate it. So I'm okay that they didn't do that. I wasn't really expecting them to go full out. And even though there are a few Colossi that I don't like as much as others, I do understand the reason they cut it down is they wanted to use the best ideas that they had. If they had more, it would probably get a little repetitive. Like, if you look at the original designs, a lot of them were very similar when they had like 64 possible Colossi. So, yeah, I'm okay with them not adding in any. And even if there is no boss rush mode, you still can just do the time trial version after you beat the game by kneeling by the statue of each Colossus. And that sort of could work, I guess, as your like level select. It's what I did on the original PS2 version. You just don't focus on beating it in the time limit, because it's not like when the time limit's up, the battle just ends. Like, you keep going until it's finished. So that's a nice little thing. Also, they haven't really changed any of the horse controls for aggro, but I'm okay with that because I actually think aggro is a really well-designed horse, and that's because a lot of people seem to complain that the horse is difficult to control, and I don't agree with that because, not to sound too pretentious or anything, but you're just doing it wrong. And you'll see throughout my footage when I'm traveling to each Colossus that you don't have to keep tapping X to have aggro running. You just simply hold X, and I think actually aggro is a she or a he, I'm not sure. Well, I don't mean to misgender the horse, but that's a whole other conversation. So she'll go to full speed if you're just holding down the X button, and she knows how to steer around all of the obstacles. As long as you're holding X, it'll just naturally move around. And what's really good is that you can then just rotate the camera the way you want. You don't have to do anything special about that. So it's very good. So you'll see, just call aggro over and get on. Also, if you hold the down with the analog stick and then hold X, you can sort of do that running start. It's very useful. And also, I looked it up, aggro is female, so we'll try to remember that from now on. This is the path to get to the first Colossus. He's very close, which is good because you don't have to venture too far. And so I can't remember, but I know for the first bit I tried playing with classic controls, and then I might have switched to the new control scheme they designed for this mode. It's weird, for some reason the classic controls just didn't seem to work for the new game, even though that's what I'm used to playing on both the PS2 and the PS3 version. So, go figure. But this first Colossus, his name is Phalanx. He's directly south of the Shrine of Worship. One thing I'll be doing is I'll be reading off of the wiki, just to give you some facts about them. And so this first section is basically your tutorial mode, where there's a series of ledges for you to climb up and down, and just, get used to the controls. So, go easy on me. I probably mess up a few jumps here and there, and that's just because I hadn't played this game like the PS2 or PS3 version in a while, and I'm not used to having so much control. That is one thing I guess I can say. I'm used to where there's so much lag that it's very easy to redirect yourself in midair, and that isn't as present in this new mode. So, it makes it more challenging for me. But, in any case, you just have to venture up these platforms, and then you're ready to slay a Colossus. No big deal, right? I do like that they gave you the option to have the classic or new controls, and you can switch it up a bit. It's nice that to be considerate to new players. So, here we go. This is Phalanx, the first Colossus, and I just absolutely love this sense of scale that the game gives you. Every time I see it, I think his foot's going to be a lot smaller than it is. So, essentially what you need to do is find the weak points on the Colossus, and the beam from the light will point to the weak spots and sort of illuminate them when you have your sword out. And so, with this first Colossus, what you have to do is get onto his leg, his left leg. If you see anything that's like fur or hair on a Colossus, then you're able to grab it and hold on, and you have like a grip stamina meter. So the first thing what you need to do is stab this one here, this minor sigil, in the leg, and you do that by sort of tapping square to charge it up and then pressing it again. And what's really cool about this is, for that cutscene you saw there, you're actually able to still control while the cutscene's playing. So what you can do if you want to speedrun is run around to his head while he's down there like that. So this is pretty simple to do. You just basically need to climb up these platforms on the back. The only thing that is a little challenging is you don't have that much of a stamina meter right now. Your stamina and your health will increase after each Colossus you defeat, and you can find lizards with white tails to increase your stamina, or eat fruit from trees to increase your health. So the trick is you need to sort of balance your stamina management while not falling off. And then once you get to the head, you basically just need to charge up the sword and attack. And, the fight should be over pretty quickly, as you can see. And that is one Colossus down, 15 to go. And one thing I like, there's a video of the composer of the game talking about this, but the music he composed for the victory. It's not like a big triumphant score. It's a sad, melancholic piece about the battle being over. And I like that this is sort of different vibe to victory in this game. It's not necessarily a good thing when you win, and you're kind of meant to feel sad that you're killing all of these unique beasts roaming the wild. So, after every death, we get the obligatory 2001: Space Odyssey reference, and you get hit by those weird black tendrils, and you're magically back here somehow, which we'll find out later. And then there's the creepy spirit standing over you, and for each one you defeat, there'll be another creepy spirit hanging around you. So, once we awaken, then the statue of the Colossus that you just defeated will be destroyed, thus freeing one of the fragments of the spirit of Nimrod. And that's the basic game right there. Slay a Colossus, and then go slay another one, and keep doing that until the game ends. So, despite the simple premise, it's just executed very well. The way that they've set up this world, and the way everything sort of fits together, and the different environments. And really, it's a game that you have to allow yourself to be immersed in. One thing I would do is, even though there's no reason to, I would always pet aggro when getting on her, and then give her a pet when getting off, and then just sort of do a little role playing in that sort of way. And it's really good. You really form a bond with your character, with your horse, and just all really creates a great atmosphere. So that's one Colossus down. So I'm going to show you now how to get to the next one. And I'll also just look up some little trivia points and stuff like that as well, just to fill out the timing. So the next one we're going to is named Quadratus. The name, of course, probably a reference to the fact that it's a four-legged creature. So this one is located on the other side of the shrine, beneath it, next to a lake. And again, not too difficult to get to because it's early in the game. You'll find that the further we get into, the longer the distance is for each Colossi. And this is a pretty fun fight. I don't think there's really any boss in this game that I dislike. Just some are not as great as the others. But all of the settings where you fight the bosses are great. And I just love all the extra detail that's been added in this remake. I'm gonna bet that they just remake this game for every console that comes out, and they're just gonna keep making it better and better, which I'd be okay with. So you're just gonna go down this pathway here. Now you can use aggro during this fight, but it is not necessary. You are able to defeat this one without. Later in the game, there are some where you essentially have to use aggro. If you don't, there's probably no way whatsoever that you could win. But you don't have to get too used to her yet. One thing I've always loved is when you do a sharp turn, how the camera sort of keeps way you're turning. I don't know, it's really cinematic, and I like when games do that. So you're gonna need to go over to this area of the wall, and then Quadratus is going to break free. And there this one is. So the strategy for Quadratus is you have to get it to expose its hoofs. There's a glowing part on the bottom of its feet, as you'll soon see. What you need to do is shoot the glowing part with your bow and arrow, and then that will cause it to topple over, and then you can climb up the side. So the way I like to do it is basically just simply bait the attack by standing in front, and this gives you a long time to shoot it. Of course, you have to actually make sure you properly hit it. Otherwise, you're going to get properly wrecked. And then you'll simply just climb up the leg that you shot, and then you'll need to crawl fully onto its back. And there's a few helpful platforms along the way that will allow you to regain your stamina, which again probably isn't too high. One thing you could always do, if you really want to, is as soon as you start the game, just look up a map of where all of the lizards and the fruit trees are, and just go around and collect them all at the beginning. It would probably take you a long time, but if you really want all that stamina and health at the beginning, then that might be the way to go. So, once you've got on the back, you're going to be pretty safe so long as you don't get shaken off by some sudden movements. As long as, of course, you don't topple over. So, this Colossus starts making things a little more complex, because now you have two weak points that you need to go for. The first is on the head, and the second is on the tail. And then this Colossus is going to shake around a lot more, and so you're going to have to hold on in between the shaky moments to find a good point to stab. And it can always be a little frustrating to have a stab fully charged up, and then all of a sudden just one little vibration that causes you to lose that buildup. So you just have to sometimes take a minute to gain back your stamina. It's a waiting game. So that's the way it is. Once you've got this one down, you have to run to the back and do one on the tail as well. So here are a few trivia bits for you. Tip to tip, Quadratus is roughly 140 feet or 42.7 meters long, making it the second longest quadruped after Basaran. And they both have weak points located on the bottom of their feet that you have to use to exploit to get access to their weak points. And I guess apparently he was also a costume you could download in Little Big Planet, which doesn't really surprise me because it's a Sony thing, so they want to always, of course, include all of their best games in there. And once if Wander falls to the ground after doing significant damage to Quadratus, it may attempt to flee from him. And he's also the only Colossi whose hard time attack goal has not been changed for the PS4 remaster. That's interesting. As of recording this, I haven't done time attack modes. On the PlayStation 2 version, I did almost fully beat all of them in regular time attack. The only one I couldn't beat at the time I was playing it was the very last one. And that was just because it just takes such a long time to actually get to him that if you screw it up or hesitate one bit, you've kind of screwed yourself over for that, so oh well. I might have to give it another try. But I think the PS4 version might be a little better in that the ones where it was too easy, it's now a decent challenge, and the ones where it was too challenging, they've sort of spread it out a little bit. So, that would be nice. Just having some water here. It's good for you. Okay, so next up we have the third Colossus. Just going to look up some stuff from that one right now. But I believe the name of it is Gaius. Gaius, yes. The third Colossus. So, this one, he's probably one of the most popular ones in the game. And that's because, I don't know, I guess just he's a very fun one to fight. He's got a really cool design, a really great place where you fight him. It's essentially the poster one for the game. And I do really love him as well. My only issue is the first stage can be a little annoying, but we'll talk about that when we actually get to him. So, I'm not sure what it is, but every time I play this game I sort of end up going the wrong way. And that is, I think you have to go further left than you actually have to. So, I'll cut the video at a certain point, but basically, what you want to do is actually go to the right here, instead of going straight where I am. That entrance over there is not the proper entrance to him. You actually have to go from the right side. But no matter how many times I play the game, I always end up going in the wrong direction this way, and then circling around the entire map, because I swear I'm good at this game. So, as you see here, you actually want to just go across the same bridge we did for Quadratus, and then go straight through this passageway. This one is the right one, not that other one I was headed to. And once again, I swear I'm good at this game. So, this one's really cool because you fight him on this randomly raised platform in the middle of a lake. And I'm not sure about the logistics of this platform and everything like that, but it looks pretty cool. And that's sort of, that's the way it is in this game. So first things first, you'll have to get off of aggro so you can swim to that ledge, this walkway. And this is the sort of tedious part because you have to make a jump at the end of the ledge. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I've screwed up this jump in the past. It is way too high of a number. But thankfully I got it first try in this one. And I think the reason it's difficult is because you kind of have to do a diagonal jump. And I think in the old consoles it didn't really do the diagonal jump well. It was, you kind of had to go one direction or the other. It wasn't this omnidirectional bit. I'm not sure, but, in any case, this is the ledge that you have to do. You gotta jump there, so... Ooh, that was close. Don't worry, I would have cut it all out if I had to jump again many, many times, but yay, first try. Good, now hopefully I never have to do that jump ever again, because I hate it. So you'll go up this platform, and once you're on the top, you'll see this here is Gaius, the sleeping giant that we're going to awaken so we can fight. So, the first stage of Gaius is he's going to be swinging around this, his arm, which has this very long rod that's basically, embedded into the arm. And you'll see on that arm, he's got this ring which prevents you from climbing up the arm. So what you need to do is get him to swing and hit the rod on this stone plate here on the ground, and that will cause him to break it, and then you can actually run up. So I do like this fight, but the annoying part is sometimes he just refuses to actually do this attack. So, you'll see here he has pretty good tracking. So, even if you run away from him, you'll still manage to get caught by his attack. But here, I just sort of tanked the damage so that I could get him to hit the rod. Or at least I thought I did. You have to be pretty exact to get on it. And I know there's a way to get past him without breaking the guard. I think it's actually an achievement in this newest version. But I was not able to do that. So there, I managed to get him to hit that, so that broke the band on his arms, so now he could fully climb up. Now, this is what can be the annoying part sometimes, is that sometimes I've had it where just he refuses to just do this long swinging strike. Like, sometimes what he'll do is just constantly follow me around the arena, and then he does a different attack where he plunges the rod straight down, which is very frustrating because you can't climb up it when he does that attack, because he's plunging it vertically rather than horizontally. So I did get lucky here that he didn't get stuck in that trap, but it just can be a little frustrating when it just seems like he's refusing to do the one attack that I need him to do so that I can get on you and kill you and stab you in the head. But I digress. So, what you need to do then is there's two weak parts on him. There's the head, of course, and his stomach, his abdomen. So usually I like to go for the head first. And this isn't an easy fight because I find that he swings around a lot. And since he's also walking around, it's very difficult to get a proper thrust attack on his head. He moves so much that he sort of gets stuck in a cycle of not being able to fully charge up a stab before he swings around and interrupts your move. And it takes me quite a while to actually fully get a stab in on him. But you just got to persevere to get through. So, few trivia bits about him. There is a way to speed run him, and I've seen people do it, and I've tried it myself, and I just can't seem work. But what you need to do is crouch on the end of the sword after he swung it down. And it's like when he pulls it up, somehow you like do a jump and then it just throws you and catapults you into the air. And then that essentially lands you directly on the top of his head. And, of course that's very useful for the time attack and the speed run mode. But, I don't know, I've tried it and it just doesn't seem to fully work for me. So, oh well. And I guess also just when he swings you around on the sword, there is a way to get him to swing it that lands you on his torso. But again, I'm not that great at this game. And as you'll see how long it's taken me to get him down, just get this head finished. So, you just gotta persevere on that. Let's see if there's some other interesting trivia. Unlike the majority of Colossi, Gaius' appearance isn't animalistic. It somewhat resembles a human in proportion and stature. Yes, that was a very enlightening piece of trivia. Honestly, I'm not sure how I managed to beat him. There's just so many times I've fallen off in crazy ways. It's quite spectacular, really. This is probably my most undeserved victory over Gaius. Let's see what else here. Gaius is one of the more popular Colossi amongst fans, due in part to its great height and the fact that the fight is essentially a death match between two swordsmen held within the confines of the lofty arena wherein Gaius resides. Gaius' popularity may also be due to the fact that many players view the fight against Gaius as the first proper fight in the game. Phalanx and Quadratus are seen somewhat as training colossi, and that they are more designed to allow the player to become accustomed to the controls, as well as the game's mechanics and physics. Gaius, by comparison, is a tougher opponent, especially given that the puzzle of breaking its armor is trickier to discover than either Phalanx or Quadratus' weaknesses. And, yeah, I guess that is true. I liken it sort of similarly to maybe like Dark Souls 3 and the Abyss Watchers. The bosses before the Abyss Watchers, they're good, but they're not amazing great ones. And yeah, the Abyss Watchers is kind of the first big challenge in that game, and that's probably what makes that fight so memorable and why so many people love it. You get used to the game, and then you think you're good, and then there's a big challenge, and then you force yourself to overcome that, and that's what makes it memorable. Same thing with Gwyn in the end of Dark Souls 1. Not necessarily the best fight in the game, but probably one of the most memorable because he's the final boss. I think it's funny that I've ended up talking so much about Dark Souls in a Shadow of the Colossus video, but hey, that's the way it is. I like that series a lot. So that is Gaius, the third Colossus, and after this we get our clue for the fourth one. Let's just go ahead and load up that page right now. And have some more water because it's good for you. I don't really have long fingernails right now. I'm not not sure how proper this is going to sound. Anyway, enough of that. So, let's head over to the fourth Colossus, who is named Phaedra. This one is kind of a giant horse. And I'm not the biggest fan of this one. Could also be because it comes right after Gaius, who's one of the best ones in the game, and then Phaedra's a little meh. But, you know, it's still a boss in Shadow of the Colossus, which means it is still very good. So, once again, Journey 2, this one is pretty simple. You just basically head to that side of the shrine and follow the path, and you're pretty much there. Again, this is an area where being able to properly control aggro is very effective, because for all these long and winding passages, you don't have to be constantly worried about controlling or dodging around or moving around the corners or anything like that. You just simply hold X and aggro will do all the work. She is a lot smarter than you give her credit for, and doing so will allow you to enjoy the beautiful scenery through the excellent cinematography that this game provides. So stop worrying about where you need to go and just enjoy the damn art, you scrubs. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Anyway, you should keep note of these hills and that structure, because it's going to be important in this fight. And here we go. This is Phaedra. According to the trivia, Phaedra has a rough height of 89 feet, or 27.1 meters, making it the joint fourth tallest of all the Colossi, along with Pelagia. Only Malus, Quadratus, and Gaius are taller. Interesting bit of trivia. Also, like Pelagia, which I believe is the 12th Colossus, this one, Phaedra, possesses a set of skeletal ribs protruding from its underbelly. So, first thing you need to do is lure Phaedra over to these burial mounds. Best way I find to do that is just to shoot an arrow or two. You're not really going to do any damage, but you'll definitely annoy the Colossi enough to get them to follow you. So, there are two ways you can get on to Phaedra. The first way, it's the way that I have always done it, and the way I continue to do in this video. And what I do is, you gotta make sure Phaedra sees you go into the tunnel here, and then you go hide underneath, and then it's going to start taking interest in smacking the ground around where you entered. So then what you need to do is go through a different tunnel so you can come up behind it, and then that'll allow you to jump on to its sort of tail thing. It's not really a tail of sorts, but you know, that thing on its back. The only thing that can be frustrating is sometimes I find Phaedra refuses to actually look in the tunnel and search for So I think what I end up doing is just try to get its attention and start it again. And this is probably why I don't love this fight as much. I like the more sort of predictable Colossi. I'm not the biggest fan of the ones where they sort of rely on, you have to get them to do a specific thing because sometimes they just refuse to do it. And then it's just kind of tedious, not nearly as fun. But the other way that you can get onto Phaedra is when it's over the mound and it's like looking in to the hole to see where you're white. You can actually just simply grab onto those sort of dangling bits on its front. Not sure if those are like dreadlocks or something, or ponytails. But in any case, you can actually just grab onto those and climb up. I'm not really sure which would be a faster method because I only ever do the stick up from behind method. But that's what's about. You can try and experiment. So once again, I'm just trying to get Phaedra to actually do the damn animation that I would like it to be able to do properly. But sometimes this game just doesn't work properly. There we go. Okay, good. Sometimes I just get so frustrated I have to do some inaudible whispering just to let off some steam. I think we've all been there. But, so after you do this, what you need to do is stab the minor sigil, because then Phaedra will lower its head, and that'll allow you to jump forward there into the head bit. And once you're here, the fight is pretty much over, because the sort of edges around the head means it's a lot harder to fall out, and you've got safe areas to sort of stop holding on so you can get your stamina back. And that's pretty much it. According to the trivia, the two rock columns dangling could be reins. Like reins on a horse, since Phaedra is a horse like Colossus. That is a very interesting bit. I'm gonna go that they're like either ponytails or dreadlocks, because that's my version. I think it's interesting that I say that it's hard to fall off this Colossus, and then I end up, nearly falling off multiple times. But in any case, let's hurry up and finish this fight so we can get on to bigger and better things. And by that, of course, I mean more Colossi. satisfy everybody. Like, I'm not a fan of eating sounds. Like, I just find it kind of cringy. I think gum chewing is only one where I don't really mind it that much. Or maybe like Pop Rocks. Heather Feather, that one where she included that. That actually sounded pretty nice, but other than that, if it's like any other food, I just probably won't watch that because I'm just not a fan. But I really like glass. Glass is a very nice sound. I don't really have the nails for it, but it's still a nice one. Or I also like the sound of on the microphone, just like the actual rubbing sound. It's pretty nice if you try to get something along the lines of this. Some more of that later in the video if I run out of more things to say. If it sounds nice, I'm sure you'll all let me know. But in any case, this is the 5th Colossus that we're heading to now. Once again, I'll look up the trivia page for it. And this one is known as Avion, which of course is very appropriate because this one is a bird Colossus. This is definitely one of my favorite ones. Probably because there's just something about the thrill of, riding a flying monster and hanging on for dear life. And that's what this game gives you, and that's why it's so awesome. So it's a little bit of a longer journey to actually get to this one, but still pretty simple, nothing too tricky. You're just gonna need to head over here, jump off, and climb through the ladder on the other side of this water here. I will say that is one thing that is nice, is that most of this area you fight in is water, so while it might be a little frustrating to get back on Avion if you fall off, you are able to withstand any falling. Although, thankfully this game is nice in that there is almost no fall damage. You have to fall from pretty high if you want to die. So that is nice. And I just love the way that the intro to this Colossus sets everything up. You're going through this nice symmetrical area of walkway, and then you just see this flying bird come out, just soaring around. It's great. It's just so majestic. I remember the first time that I saw this, I was just thinking to myself, like, how do I beat this thing? How do I even, how do I get through it? What do I do? And I think that is one thing that is kind of sad about this game, is that it is one of those games that never plays as good the second time, sort of. What I mean by that is that you look at a game, just a lot of games, right? Let's say Dark Souls, of course, right? Because everything's Dark Souls, or Dead Space, right? You know, you can play the game the second time, and maybe you know what to do, and you know some strategies. But part of the challenge in a game like this, you know, is figuring the boss out, right? Or Limbo, for example. Limbo is a game that I actually just recently played. It's a very fun little game. But first, of course, yes, you have to shoot an arrow and wait on the platform to jump on the fur, and so that you can get on. Of course, how could I not mention that? But about Limbo, right? Like, yeah, that's a game where the challenge is figuring out how you get past each part without dying. And once you figure it out, the challenge is then executing the strategy for not dying. But you'll never have that initial challenge of figuring out what to do because you already know it. And it's kind of the same way with these bosses. Is, you know, part of the challenge is figuring out how to kill it. And once you know how, then the challenge is not figuring out how to kill it, but just actually doing it. So it's a shame. It's one of those games I wish I could play for the first time again. Oh well. So, Avion has 3 weak points. There's the one on the tail, which is the easiest one to get to, and then the other 2 are on the furry patch on the wings, and those are pretty tough to get to because there's that stretch of the wing that doesn't have fur on it, and also, of course, it's constantly flapping the wings and doing barrel rolls. You know, so clearly Avion played Star Fox. And it makes it difficult to hold on when you don't have that much stamina, so I'm pretty sure I fell off at one point in this fight. And I also really badly missed the sigil there, so now, of course, he goes flapping around a lot, and I don't have time to recover, and I'm probably going to fall off. But that's okay, because we can always get back on another time. I know it is possible when he does the barrel roll to, like, time your falling off so that you can land on the other wing, but I'm not good enough to do something like that. So, thankfully, I'll be saved through the power of editing. Fun trivia. Let's see. Avion is a popular Colossi amongst fans due to the experience of having to cling on to it while Avion circles the lake at high speed. Well, of course. If the player doesn't fire an arrow at Avion and leaves it perched on the tower that it begins on, Avion will not move, regardless of how close to that tower they get. If Wander does this, Avion will watch him swim around the lake from its perch in a similar manner to how Malus follows Wander's movement. Unlike Malus, however, Avion is able to freely rotate through 360 degrees and won't attack on sight as Malus will. Huh. That's interesting, I guess. Also, you don't attack parts of the body that would be anatomically fatal. You stab the other ones in the head, the spine, or the chest, but you stab Avion on the tips of the wings and the tail, thereby terminating its balance in flight. It's pretty clever. Very, very clever. Hadn't thought of that before. which is Barba. And I will say, Barba he's pretty cool, because he has a very epic beard. That, of course, we shall soon see. So, Barba is actually fairly far away than most other Colossi are. And he's in a very far southern part of the map. We will be heading there. You can just watch the video for that. I'm gonna try doing some microphone sounds of sorts. Let's just pretend I'm like massaging your scalp while you enjoy the lovely scenic route of this beautiful landscape. Was slightly relaxing. It's interesting because I don't get any ASMR sensation from my own videos, and it's probably because I'm like too focused on making them and recording them, or maybe I just suck at it. I'm not getting good stuff. Or maybe it's kind of like sort of tickling, you can't tickle yourself because your brain knows it's coming. In this case, I know what sounds I'm making. I'm not sure. That's some interesting philosophical and physiological debates for another day, I guess. But yeah, in any case, here we go. This is Barba with his epic beard of epic proportions. And of course, that beard is the weak point that you're going to be going for. But first things first, you got to get over these little walls here, which can be a little tricky because he just walks and he's faster than your running speed. So the amount of times that he's caught up and usually wrecked me is far too much. But that's okay because it makes it intense. It's funny, I don't know if it makes you faster or not, but I find I roll a lot more in the remastered version, and that's probably because it's just simply circle to roll instead of R1 and triangle. So, again, I'm just doing like Dark Souls, I gotta roll everywhere, even if it doesn't actually do anything. But so, this is the trick, you got to hide under this ledge, and then he'll sort of come down to look like a "where are you" sort of thing. And of course, as soon as he does that, that's when you go, action is coming, and you grab onto that beard. And from here there are two weak spots that you're gonna have to go to. First is on the head, of course, and the second is sort of slightly down his back. Just interesting choice. But in any case, that's the simple thing you gotta do. So, trivia. Barba stands at a rough height of 80 feet, or 24.4 meters, and shares physical similarities with both Phallus and Argus. Barba, however, is the largest of the three. Barba is the first of only two colossi that are fought underground. The other is Dirge. And Dorman uses the line, "It lusts for destruction," to describe both Cenobia and Barba. This is an interesting one. The major sigil on Barba's head is off-center and directioned incorrectly. It's more on the left side of its head, and vertically points slightly to the left as well. This may have been done on purpose, as Dorman says, but a fool it is not, because the left side of the brain is responsible for logical thought. But, however smart this one might be, he's still a victim for our quest to resurrect Mono. One other thing you can do is you can fight in reminiscence mode, and that is you travel back to the body of the Colossus that you beat, then you pray before it, and then you get to fight it in with an old-timey sort of film grain. It's kind of nice, it's kind of cool, but I haven't done that too much because that requires traveling all the way back to a Colossi that you beat, and it can seem a little irrelevant after you beat the game when you can just simply fight them in time attack mode if you do really want to have a kind of boss rush mode. But in any case, that is Barba, 6th Colossus down. That'll leave us on to our next one of my other favorite Colossi, which is Hydrus, the electric eel, or catfish of sorts. sounds like. I hope Feather has not copyrighted that sound, because it's a very nice one, and I would hate to get a copyright strike from another ASMRist. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but you don't want to risk it. What's another one that's like I always like the sound of unintelligible whispering. I'm not really sure what the best way to go about making that sound is, but usually what I try and do is just like read a long paragraph or just ramble really quickly and don't breathe in, so you just get that loud sound, if you know what I mean. So, this here is one of the save points or the shrines. They don't have as much use anymore in the remaster, because originally these were the parts where you would save your game, but the new version has autosave. But still, if you pray at them, it will regenerate your health. And there's pretty much always a lizard on one of these. You see right there. So, with these lizards, you can either shoot them with your bow or hit them with your sword, and then you have to pick up the tail afterwards, and it'll give you a boost to your stamina bar. And they can be a little annoying sometimes. Sometimes they can just seem to disappear forever. But it can be worth it just to give you that little extra boost, and you'll get achievements for finding all of them. And it's also important to note it has to be the ones that have the glowing tails. There's a bunch you'll find around that just have regular tails that aren't glowing, and that's going to be useless for you. You know, there's no point in getting those ones. So just shoot them down, and there you go, the tail is yours, and you'll see my stamina bar will glow a little bit, indicating that it's filled up more. One thing, that's another change that I like is, I don't really like that the stamina bar is yellow. I like the pink for the original, but I do like that, you know, instead of it growing so big it takes up half of your screen, and now there's just this little extra bar that goes up from it. So, you know, then you'll use that instead to be able to see how much stamina you have. So that's kind of nice. And that just gets some nice scenic landscapes. I don't know if I have the mic loud enough, but I also always it's like calling Scape or GB, right? I think it's the proper term, butterfly fingers. Be like, hello everybody. So you don't actually have to go all the way up to this tower, but I wanted to because epic jump, right? That's what it's all about. And it's kind of cool that you can sort of see him floating around in there. A little hard to tell, but he is there. But in any case, cannonball. Okay, so this is Hydrus, the electric eel. He's not too difficult of a fight, but one thing that is difficult is not getting zapped by the electric spikes on his back. So what you're going to do is you're going to be running along his back, and these ones, of course, the tails, the sort of electric bits, the spikes. I know what I'm talking about. Of course, they'll shock the water around you, so the tough part I find is that you have to run up when you're out of the water, quickly charge up and stab the spike before it actually shocks you, and that can be tough because sometimes the water just goes in just in time, so you get shocked right before you stab it. And it also needs to be a full stab as well. You can't just do a little baby one. So that's just a thing you gotta watch for. But one thing is nice that each one does. I'm pretty sure it does lower his health a bit, so you don't have to stab too much once you actually get to the head. And I think it's interesting that he doesn't really directly attack you. He just swings his tail up and then catches you. But in any case, you get caught along, and now it's time to go for a ride as we do some fishing. So, of course, you can't move along when you're underwater, so you have to run along during these bits where you resurface, and then quickly hold on again before you go under. So, what is tough is sometimes I find is I get a little too close to the spike, and then I get zapped thinking I was safe. So I like to use these little those back as markers, because you'll see here that was a little weak stab that I did, and I got zapped, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I'm wondering if they changed it up, PS4 version. I know one that, of course, is different is the orange is a lot brighter, which is nice. Makes it more pronounced. Sort of the bioluminescence of the creature. But I'm pretty sure what happens is once you get near the head, it'll like go submerge completely under and just sort of keep diving down. And so then you'll have to get back on a second time. You'll see it just sort of keeps forcing you under, and then your stamina will drain rapidly. But the good thing is that even if you were to hold on until your stamina completely drained, all your character would do is just go and resurface again. So that, you should get some air, because air is important. You need it to live. Unless, of course, it is just some weird poison that's like slowly killing us over 80-ish or so years. Not a physics major, that's for sure. But, if you can do that segment the first time, then the second time is even easier. Because now there are no electric spikes to give you a shock. So let's see some trivia bits. Hydrus is the first of 3 limbless serpentine colossi the player faces, the other 2 being Dirge and Phalanx. Prior to Wanderer entering the lake and initiating the fight, Hydrus can be easily spotted due to the fact that its 3 electrical spikes discharge electricity even before the fight begins. However, if one observes Hydrus before the fight begins, it remains totally stationary and will only move once Wanderer enters the lake and Hydrus' introductory scene plays. Of all 16 colossi, Hydrus is the only one Wanderer is capable of rendering completely harmless. Once its 3 electrical spines have been nullified, Hydrus has no other means to attack and will no longer be able to inflict any damage at all. It will continue to make passes at Wanderer, as though it is still capable of electrocuting him, but since it cannot do this, it merely passes beneath Wanderer without him taking any damage. That's interesting. Also, you'll see once we defeat him, the body sinks into the depths of the lake, but if you revisit it, the body's risen to the surface so that you can enter the reminiscence mode. It's very nice that, the devs are thinking of the important things. But yeah, you'll see, once I grab onto the head, it's not like he really puts up much of a fight. The only thing he'll do is submerge. Then once he surfaces, you charge up your attack and let that happen. This is a nice little effect that you can see here, that all of the lights along the body slowly will fade out as it dies. And I'm not sure if that was a detail in the original game, but it's one that's in this one, and it's definitely very nice. Maybe what they need for if they were going to do an extra colossi, I want to see like a Cthulhu Colossus. Like, wouldn't that be cool if you could fight Cthulhu in Shadow of the Colossus? Or, just any of them, like a Yog-Sothoth, or however you say it, or Azoth, if that's how you say it as well. I'm not sure. But that's kind of the thing with all of those old ones, is like the names are an alien language, so they're meant to be impossible to pronounce correctly. Because that's just something that Lovecraft did, of course. That's a fun thing to talk about H.P. Lovecraft. I could talk was a very good short story from Lovecraft. It's, I love the way that he describes everything, and also how he doesn't describe everything. You know, what I mean by that is for the stuff that you're supposed to understand, like the way the town looks or the way it's located. There's a lot of detail about that. Just the history of everything, or all the different families and stuff like that. But there's some things that you're not supposed to fully understand, like the way the creatures look. And I like the way he does that. There's gonna be some spoilers for the Dunwich Horror, if you haven't read it already. And, like, at the end, the final battle, see, you know, some people, if they were gonna tell the final battle, they would tell it from the perspective of the characters that are in the final battle. The professor's going to fight the twin of Wilbur Wadley, whatever his name is. But the way he describes it is he describes it from the townspeople watching them fight on the hill, looking through a pair of binoculars or a telescope, and I like that because then you get like a second-hand interpretation of the event, and so you don't really fully get the entire picture, and that's what makes it scary, that you don't really know what's going on. But you know, enough about that for now. Let's talk about the game we're playing, Shadow of the Colossus, of course, because that's what we're all here for. This next one is the 8th Colossus, which is Kuromori, and I'm gonna say everything I have to say about him before the fight, because the fight's actually kind of short, because maybe this is the proof that I get good at Shadow of the Colossus. It's not too difficult to do, but, you know, that's the way it is. So, Kuromori, you're going to fight in this, like, sort of arena type place. It's a pretty fun place to fight. The fight wasn't really annoying for me the first few times, but now that I've got the hang of it, I do really like it. First of all, you got a really great run-up. Some of the best visuals in the game. And there's also a little pond where you can go play around with some fish. I cut that part out though because it was a little tedious. And, you know, just the sort of build up to this fight, it's really cool. And Kuromori has like a ranged attack. He fires this sort of like lightning bolt at you, but it also has some kind of like a toxic mist that has a residue that stays in the area, so you have to watch out for that. And he's one of 3 smaller Colossus after Celosia and Cenobia, and I don't really like those two that much, but this one thankfully is not too small, so he's pretty interesting. And basically what you have to do with this fight is Kuromori is going to be scaling the walls to try to find you, and you have to shoot 2 of his legs with an arrow. And after you do that, he'll fall and he'll be stunned on his back, and that's when you can get to his back to stab his weak points. There's 2 spots on his back that are weak. And the trick I found is that the further he falls from, the longer he can be stunned. So it's actually better to get him to climb up near the top. And one thing that I didn't know was that actually the walls on the outside, they are scalable. Like, there's ledges you can grab. You usually what I just did was like a sort of Hail Mary jump down the entire arena. Because there's almost no fall damage in this game. But you don't really have to worry about that. And there is also an achievement for being able to fully kill Kuromori before he turns back over. So one trick you can do is whistle to call for aggro, and then he'll climb up. And then from here, this is where you'll want to shoot at his limbs. And again, I don't know if I just got good, but you'll see I got his limbs right away. And then I just sort of jumped, and you see I jumped the entire chasm there, and barely took any damage. So once he's stunned, you just simply get onto him. You can walk right up and just give him some good old stabs. And so I'm pretty sure how long he's stunned is tied to how far he falls, because I know in the past that I would stab him like once or twice and he'd flip back over. But in this case, you see, I was able to get him down all the way before he flipped over even once. So try lowering up higher. But you have to really watch out, because his lightning bolt attack does a lot of damage, and the mist residue can kill you very fast. I know this was before I figured out how to fight him. Originally, when I played this game, this was one of the tougher fights for me, because he would just kill me so fast with that mist attack. So it's definitely something to watch out for. But in any case, that is Kuromori, the 8th Colossus, and that means we are now halfway through the game. Yay! Which means we get a little more of a special, unique cutscene. And, yeah. It's a nice little bit. I like that there's a few little unique bits just sort of sprinkled here and throughout. Gives you a nice sense of journey throughout everything. But that will be it for Kuromori, and that will lead us to the next Colossus, which is Basaran. Which, when I say that, makes me think of the Bane theme in The Dark Knight Rises, or Desse, Basa, whatever they say. I just said Basaran. That's the way it is. And, another nice little moment with Wander. One thing I don't notice as much in this, you can see it in the hands, but not necessarily in the face, that you're slowly getting a little more demonic looking, because of obviously the effects of being inhabited by these creepy evil spirits. I didn't really notice it in the face as much until the very end. I noticed that more so in the original version with the original graphics, but maybe it was just a thing I noticed. I'm not exactly sure. So in that case, it'll be time to head to the lake for Basaran. For this next part of the video, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsors, the great Coca-Cola Company. Original taste that you just can't beat. Subscribe to my channel and check out all of the amazing links and annotations I have for free awesome deals and sponsorships and coupons and a bunch of other awesomeness that no one really cares about. But in any case, I'm just gonna pour myself a glass right now, and let's see how this sounds. I'm new to this sounds thing, so everyone should go easy on me. as you'll see now, we have arrived at the next Colossus, Basaran. He is another quadruped and a sort of turtle-like creature, very similar to Quadratus, the second Colossus, but this one he's quite a lot more aggressive. So you're going to have to ride aggro for this fight, and that's because, as you see, he has like laser bolts similar to the previous Colossus, and it's very important for you to stay moving at all times because the bolts are very hard to dodge and they hit very hard. So it's almost like if you get stuck and hit, you're kind of screwed. I don't know if he has much of a delay between shots if you do happen to get hit. So the trick you'll see what I'm doing here is you need to lure him into one of the geysers and then try to get him to stay there long enough, because when the geyser goes off it'll lift him into the air, and then you have to shoot his feet with bow and arrow. And so again, it's a similar style of a fight to Quadratus, and we know when he's on balance. You see here, there's his feet. You just have to shoot, and then you have to crawl up the side of him before he flips back over. And it can be a little tricky because sometimes I find what happens if I climb up the other side, but I haven't fully gotten in time, so when he flips over, I just end up falling off, and I think that's what happened to me this time, but I cut it out just to save us some time. And then once you get on top, just stay on and attack the head and the tail, the same weak points as Quadratus as well. I know some people aren't the biggest fan of this fight because, again, if you do get caught by the laser bolts, it can be pretty frustrating to get back up and get back on the horse and everything like that, and aggro sort of gets temporarily injured as well, so you sort of just limps around a bit. But I do think it's a very fun, enjoyable fight. One feature that really comes in handy during this fight is the button that focuses on the Colossus. I think it might be L1, but you could have it mapped to two different buttons. And so what I like to do is, as I'm riding and circling around trying to get to the Colossus over to the geyser, you keep that button held down, so then it will keep you locked on. I also realized that the head of this one is the weak point. I don't know why I thought there was the tail as well. I was probably just confusing it with Quadratus, so ignore that. You don't have to get the tail. I swear I'm good at making videos and at this game. I swear I know what I'm talking about sometimes. But yeah, there you go. That's that fight down. And yeah, I also just realized that I can't count because this is actually the 9th Colossus, not the 8th. Again, I swear, I'm a professional, smartest work here, just doing the things that I do best. shows up on the microphone, but, you know, just trying to do a little typing with it. Maybe I'll try some of that more later. But in the meantime, the intro for this next bit, this is the 10th Colossus, because I know how to count, and it is Dirge is Colossus' name. Dirge is probably the most difficult, I'd say, of the Colossus to fight, and that's because the method for beating him, it's very tricky to pull off properly. It requires perfect coordination of all of your abilities of riding aggro and using the bow and arrow. But we'll show more when we actually get to that bit. In the meantime, you basically have to just head all the way to the one side of the map past Basaran. And, it's a very nice scenic road getting over there. Another thing I think is interesting is that Dirge is opposite from Avion on the map, and essentially they're also opposites thematically. Dirge is a worm in the sand, and Avion is a bird in the sky. Avion is very peaceful, it doesn't really ever attack you, whereas Dirge is probably the most aggressive of Colossi. He's actively trying to hunt you down and eat you alive. So, it's a nice, fun, happy time, right? I don't know if I go past the corpse here. There it is. But if you were to pray next to that, that would enter reminiscence mode, and you could fight each Colossus again. Or you could just wait until the type attack, so that you could just have a level select and you don't have to ride across the entire world. But it is a pretty world. Actually, we're not going to see it, but it's close to one of my favorite areas, and it's sort of the bottom left corner of the map. It's very open, and there's kind of a few very narrow rocky bridges by the shore, and it's really interesting because there's no real ever reason to go through that area. Like, the two Colossus on that side of the map are Dirge and the beard one, again, Barba, I think it was. And to get to both of them, you're probably not going to go through that pathway, but it's very scenic, and there's a lot of eagles you could actually hang on to, or I think they're hawks. Close enough, you get the idea. So, this is the pathway you're going to look for. That edit that I had earlier, I just cut out me shooting down a bunch of fruit. Again, don't forget to grab fruit. You will definitely need a lot of health for this fight, because one hit will really mess you up. So, this is the intro cutscene for Dirge. So what you're gonna need to do is start riding along with aggro. Dirge will eventually start to chase you. And this is where the focus on Colossus button also comes in handy, because you need to do that so that you can look at Dirge behind you while you're riding your horse. And then that helps you get set up at a good angle. And then you use that angle to shoot an arrow at Dirge's eye. use the focus on the Colossus button to keep yourself turned around. So you see I actually got that pretty much first try. Then you just hop on Dirge's back, and there are 2 separate weak points. So the important thing is to not try to steer aggro, because it would be really complex with the hand movement for that. Like you're holding down X, and then you're holding down L1, and you're also holding down like R2 or whichever one you've mapped the arrow button to. And it can definitely be a bit of a tricky feat to accomplish. So definitely practice that so that you can get that a little better. And I'm pretty sure a few times here, it's funny, I got that arrow up perfectly the first time. And yeah, I keep messing it up and missing here. I'm not sure how, but main thing is you just have to remember to dodge at the end, otherwise that hit will really hurt you. I think one thing also is, I'm pretty sure in the original game that when you are aiming, your aim sort of naturally trended towards the center of the screen, and it doesn't do that in the remake, which I'm okay with, but I'm just naturally used to doing that. It's kind of a case where the old mechanic, I'm too used to it, kind of messes me up that they improve it, even if it is for the better. So, it's kind of a difficult thing, but that's sort of the way it is. I'm going to scroll down here and see interesting trivia bits. He's the fastest of all Colossi. He's one of them are in the central shrine of worship. He's only one of 2 Colossi with a mobile mouth. It's interesting because his eyes are always orange instead of changing to orange after going into attack. Let's see. An location in which it's fought, Dirge is one of 3 Colossus. Pillar of Light with defeated could not be seen in the game, with the other 2 being Barba and Kuromori. And let's see here. Judging by their size versus Wanderer's size, Dirge's eyes are the largest out of all of the other Colossus eyes, even larger than Malus. He can do enough damage in a single attack to almost fully kill you. So again, stock up on those fruits. And be sure to shoot fast. I wouldn't say Dirge is my favorite Colossi, but I think he's sort of middle of the pack. It can be a little annoying to get all the coordination right, but I like that it feels challenging. It's not like simply a press X and everything works. You actually have to really put your mind to it to get all of the complex circuitry of horse and shooting and stuff to work properly. So it's definitely good, but as long as you're fast, if you can get up each of the second times, this fight should pretty much be over. I'm not sure if the timing is faster or not in this new version, but yeah, that will be that. That is Dirge down. I don't know what other things I have around here I can make some sounds with. Let's see. Some piece of newspaper here. very small one. And the way you fight him is not really that enjoyable. Like, what you have to do is use a torch to like scare him off of a ledge, and then that breaks the armor plate on his back. And then that allows you to jump on top and then stab him in the weak part. But it's kind of a little disappointing when you've been fighting a game with like big, super giant monsters, and you know, you're really interested to see what each one is. And then this one, he's like a tiny one. He's still, of course, larger than you, but also not like super massive, just like, you know, slightly. And so that's a bit of a letdown. And then the fight can be very annoying because he has like a charge attack, just to ram into you and knock you over, and it takes you forever to get back up if you've fallen over. But Celosia's timing is that by the time you get back up, he'll charge at you again. So, if I recall correctly, I think I did okay in this fight, but I know that there's other fights I've had. I remember one time particularly where I was constantly getting knocked over, and the only way that I didn't die was because I just had so much health. But it was like, I'd say a good solid just like 2 minutes straight of just being knocked over and not being able to get up. And you know, that's not very fun, nor is it very fair. So it just feels very imbalanced. But it's, I guess, a bit of an entertaining fight. The one bit I like, which we'll see eventually, is the drop that you have to do to get onto his back. You don't have to do a big giant jump off the top of the ledge, but I like to do that because it just, of course, feels like an epic set piece moment. And the other thing that's annoying is, so when you get there is you have to grab a torch that he knocks over, and I'm pretty sure it's like whatever the same button to like pick up lizard tails. That's the one you have to do, and then it allows you to grab a torch. But yeah, I guess I'll give it credit for being like a bit of a puzzle that you have to solve. That's kind of nice, maybe. But other than that, pretty meh. So you just have to jump up here, and this bit over here is just all sort of extra fluff. I think the only point of it is for when he would sometimes jump back up here after you've knocked him down. And here we go. What's interesting is that he's the only Colossus that actually shows fear. You know, back away from the flames, which is kind of ironic, because he's been told by Norman that he keeps the flames alive. So there's the torch there. So we gotta grab it, and I'm pretty sure it's not lit right now. So here we go. So begins the epic struggle to escape from the stun. Lock this down. Lock down. Locked down. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know if I ever have, but that's okay, because, you know, we're just hanging out, watching some video game footage of a really good one. And, yeah. So here we've got the torch lit, so now he's gonna be afraid of us. So, what you need to do is get him to back up over the ledge. Now, I'm pretty sure you have to keep your distance a bit, though, because if you get close, he will do a little bit of a swipe. And if it knocks you over, then I'm pretty sure the torch will go out. So, lead him back over, and his armor plate will fall off. Then you'll be able to get on his back, attack him. Reading some more trivia. Just like Celosia and Cenobia, because everybody buys larger classes. Everybody gets slow, seems like big. Not the fact that it is fear. Number also more than if it gets knocked out. So, here we go. This is the epic jump moment, but don't screw it up, because getting back on will be very difficult. And thankfully, I grabbed on there. Now, what is weird though, is that he just sort of seemed really determined to run back up top, and I'm not sure why, because he never usually does this with me. He'll like slowly move over, but usually I'll end up killing him back there. But maybe he's just trying to find somewhere to throw you off, I'm not sure. But once you're on top, the fight's pretty much over. I think if you did fall off, the only other thing you would have to do is just jump back up on one of the ledges with the fire, and then jump back on him because you're much taller. So that's Celosia. He's okay. There's a reskin version of him later called Cenobia, which we'll get to much later. That one I'm also not a fan of, mainly because it's just very tedious, but we'll talk more about that when we get there. And that is another one biting the dust. Time for another drink. So, we're on our way to the 12th Colossus, which is Pelagia. This one is a bit of a weird Colossus. It's got a very interesting design, and basically, I like the description. Paradise floats upon the lake. I really like the path and location for this Colossus that you're going to go to. The way that there's this big sort of waterfall and this isolated lake. It's very, very pretty, of course. And that's what it's all about in this game. So, you're going to need to follow this bridge here, and then there's going to be another little forest that you go through. Now, this is one of the few colossi, though, where the path getting there is actually a little dangerous, because if you do fall off the waterfall ledge in the next area, then you'll die. So, try not to do that. It would be extremely painful for you. But just from this little moment alone, I can just already see how amazing this remake looks. I'm so glad that this game got updated. I mean, the original sparse art style is really cool, but just seeing that this is the way it is, and it's so lush and it's full, it's very lovely. So, along this path here, this is the narrow bit that you're going to have to watch out for. But just follow this path, and this will get you towards the lake. And gorgeous view ahead. So, the strategy for Pelagia, there's one that I've seen that I tried originally, and it does seem to take forever, so I don't advise it, but it might be the right way to do it. And that is, you have to sort of hide on these platforms in the water, and then he'll sort of look close to you with his head, and then you have to run out and grab the head and pull yourself up. That's the first strategy that I know of. But the other one, which I'm not sure if it's like the cheese way to do it, but if you're quick enough to swim around, you can just climb up Pelagia's back. And, so if you do that, then you don't have to do any kind of fancy hiding and hoping for him to come close. You just simply do it yourself. So, that's the way I do it in this video. As to whether it's the true strategy, I don't know. And one thing I always thought about this area here is I kind of get a Lord of the Rings vibe. Like, there's this gate here, and then there's the waterfall right after it. It makes me think of that bit near the end of Fellowship of the Ring, where they've just left, Lothlorien. And they're on the boats, and they go through that sort of passageway where there's those giant statues. And it's a really great moment. It's like just showing off the beauty of the world, and there's not really much there in terms of the story because it's just there for the atmosphere, and it's really great. So once you come forward here, Pelagia is going to emerge. Also, kind of get a Godzilla vibe, or just, some kaiju, Cthulhu-ness, because I just have to relate everything to H.P. Lovecraft these days. That's what you get when you read the Necronomicon religiously. But so your goal for Pelagia is to get up on its head, and those glowy things up there on the top. I don't know if they're like a part of its brain, or if maybe it used to have an upper head and those are its teeth. But in either case, if you hit those with your sword, then you can actually sort of direct him around a little bit. And then so what you need to do is direct him over to the different platforms, and then you can jump on them, and then he'll raise himself up and you can get on his chest, which is where the weak point is. You just aren't able to climb to that right now because it's underwater. So the fight isn't too difficult. I just think the tough part can be actually just getting up to the first bit, and the way you control which way the Colossus goes isn't fully perfect. He sort of struggles around a bit and fights it a little. So the tough part is just that it's a bit of a longer fight due to the unpredictability. Like you see here, I'm sort of hitting him to turn, and he doesn't turn a few times, and then he turns almost too far. But so you hide here, and then he pops up to take a look at you. And then from there, then you just jump onto the chest. And this is the annoying thing. It's like it seems like that he just didn't even want to go come after me. It's like, come here, come and get me. I'm over here. So that's the thing. I was being too quiet with all the sounds and everything, so he just stopped caring. Yeah, this fight overall is not my favorite in the game. I do think it's a creative one. It's just that the unpredictability of the way the fight can go can be a little frustrating sometimes, as it is with a lot of video game bosses here and there. But so, after you get probably like 2 good stabs in, then he's going to drop down in the water again, and he's going to destroy the one that you were on. So, you're going to have to swim up around again, or find some way to get up there, and then do the same thing over again. And that's pretty much that. The fight in a nutshell. I don't think I have anything more to say for that. Let's see what the ever interesting trivia shows. Pelagia is the only Colossus that does not have eyes. The tips of Pelagia's tusks serve as its eyes instead. They change color from blue to orange when attacking, like the eyes of all other Colossi. Pelagia doesn't actually swim, rather it walks along the bottom of the lake, similar to how hippopotamuses move through the water. It's got a bit of a gorilla-like stance. Let's see. He's the 4th tallest Colossus, along with Phaedra. Only Malus, Quadratus, and Gaius are taller. After being defeated, the body sinks to the depths of the lake, but it's risen again, so that you can enter the reminiscence mode if you want. He has the strangest and most alien appearance out of all the Colossi. A shell like a turtle, the stature of a gorilla, and tusks, which aren't on turtles or gorillas. And a close inspection of the tusks shows that they aren't actually tusks, as they appear to be made out of the same material, the helmet-like face. And the straight line distance between Pelagia and Argus is the smallest, making Pelagia and Argus guess, the closest colossi neighbors. Wow, that is some very fascinating stuff. Very interesting indeed. So, with one more successful jump, we should be able to finish this all off. And that will be Pelagia defeated. A interesting Colossus, and I'll give him credit for designing something that felt truly unique and wasn't just like a small little bowl or something like that, if you know what I mean. Now, let's try some of that plastic again. Favorite in the game because I am generic and my opinion is the same as everybody else's. So this next Colossus is called Phalanx, the 13th Colossus, located in a large desert area. What's interesting about this Colossus is that it actually is completely docile, and in no way does it actually attack you. It just sort of moves around and dives underground when you try to stab it. What I really like about Phalanx is it's like a worm monster, but it's also a flying monster. So it's like a flying snake with these sort of gas sacs on its underbelly. belly to keep it afloat. And Phalanx is easily the largest Colossus in the game. To put it into perspective, each of its wings are over 60 feet long, with the rear half of Phalanx's back matching the width of a 4-lane highway. But despite its size, it is also incredibly peaceful. So, it's kind of, a gentle giant. A very nice aesthetic. And it's not too difficult to find. It's in this very obvious desert shrine area. There's also these interesting random broken rings lying on the ground. I don't know if you get a good look at it throughout the video, but they are there. And there's like a whole big theory as to what they are. And not exactly sure, but in any case, this here is one epic intro for an epic fight. So, Phalanx has an estimated length of 557 feet, or 169.8 meters long, with a wingspan of 200 feet, measured across the front 4 wings near his head. Now I will say though, while this is my favorite Colossus, I do find that he can be a little annoying. And that is, sometimes I find it very difficult to actually get up on him. So, first thing what you gotta do is, you gotta shoot the gas sacks. There's 3 to do, so you wanna shoot that with the bow and arrow. And then, he's going to come close to the ground, so you can jump on his wings. And sometimes, I don't know what it is, but I just find it very difficult to, actually make the jump properly. Like, I've had fights where I hit all 3 of the sacks right away, and I jump up right away, and I get him down right away. But sometimes it's a little more tricky. And I think this was one of the fights where I was. So I probably did a little editing here and there, but first trick is to shoot the gas sacks, and then the second is to make the jump on to the wings here. And it can be a little annoying because if you miss it, then you have to quickly call aggro over. And for some reason, she was just refusing to come over to me. And then you gotta chase him down again to get over there. So it's a learning process. It's a learning curve, but that's okay because when it's so enjoyable, it's great. And I mean, on what other game has given you the thrill of perfectly orchestrating this bit, jumping from a horse onto a speedy, fly, stabby, wabby, snaky way, as Yahtzee would probably put it. It's such an amazing set-piece moment. So once you get on the wing, you gotta hop up, and usually I wait for the wing to rise up, but you actually still can pull yourself up and get on during this stage. And then you want to just be as fast as possible. There are 3 weak parts, which you can see right here. They're right by these flaps. And then after you stab it once, it'll do 1 barrel roll and then dive back under. Now, what I find interesting, and I'm not sure if it's just that I got worse at this game, or I originally was better, but I always felt that it would take me 2 tries to get all of the sigils down. Right? You'd get like 1.5, and then you have to climb back up and then get them again. again. But I'm not sure if they changed the timing or not, because lately every time I've played the PS4 version, it seems no matter how fast I am, I have to get back up 3 times. That like there'll be like 1 hit remaining, and it dies under. So I don't know if anyone confirmed that or not. Again, maybe I just suck at this game now. But I always thought that you had a lot more time than that. So we're gonna get back up there again and go conquer some more sigils. And one trick, I'm not sure if I'll say it here, but what I like to do after Phalanx dives is just use the focus on the Colossus button. And then that'll give you an idea of where he's going to burst out of the ground. And then you can basically just almost like spawn kill the gas bladders. So, just helps you get up there a bit faster. And I'm wondering if maybe this is, I mean, I did hesitate a little bit, but still, you know, I think that I'd have a little bit more time to be able to actually get all 3 down. But, who knows? And there's another theory that all the stone structures, like the rings, cause Phalanx to be sort of stuck in this area. You know, why doesn't it fly away or anything like that? But in any case, let's get back to that last one and finish him off. I didn't feel the need to show all of the climbing back up and on again because this video is already pretty long as it is, and it'd be a little tedious. But yeah, that's Phalanx. It's really great. It's just such a fun experience doing that jump, even if the whole getting up there can be a little annoying. Because again, sometimes I just, for the life of me, I cannot make that jump. But yeah, that's that. Try a little more tapping on the Necronomicon. is another small bowl-shaped one, like Celosia. And there's a very tedious set of things you have to do to get his armor knocked off to be able to go ahead and actually get him down. So, the path to Cenobia is very long, probably one of the longest journeys you have to do to actually get to the fight. He's in the very far top corner, and I think got a little lost on the way as well, so I'll cut that part out, but the general idea is head north and left side of the map, and get some very nice scenic view along the way, so that's always good. I'll describe it with some inaudible whispering. like that they've been pushing more, ways to share your footage and explore. So, yeah, good times. Anyway, here is the ancient city. And so, you're gonna have to go and find the Colossus in here. And then, from there, you'll have our battle of destructionness and stuff. So, it's important to know where all the towers are, because what you're going to need to do is lead him around, knocking over towers so that you can jump to them. And then, finally, after all of this, you're going to... Yeah, see, there he is right there. After all this, you're going to be able to get on his back because you'll knock the Sarper off. So go forward, get him summoned, and then be prepared to run. I'm sorry for all the memes in this video, but they're just so much fun, Okay. So, on a more serious note, basically follow the path that I'm taking. And one thing with Cenobia is that he seems to be very refusing to actually fight you sometimes. So I find what's best is to either whistle at him or shoot an arrow, and then he'll get mad and charge. And that will give me the opportunity to have the tower knocked over so you can get to the next spot. So, you'll see here, he knocks this over, and now that ledge up there I could actually get to, because I couldn't before. So, basically you do this a bunch of times, and then eventually you'll break his armor off. And there's not really much more to it than that. So, yeah, apart from being not that impressive to look at and being kind of a reskin of Celosia, this one is just even more tedious because it might be an inventive puzzle, you gotta lead him around the arena and go back to the start. But it just feels tedious because it's a long process, and not in a rewarding way where your payoff is you get to jump from a horse onto a fly snake monster. Your payoff is you get to jump on a bull monster and stab him in one spot, which you already did to another one in a much less tedious manner. Also, you made it this far in the video without being totally bored out of your mind and not in a relaxing ASMR sleep, but you should let me know how all of the sounds have been not sure if I would have figured this all out on my own, though. I do feel bad because, like, I didn't fully finish the game when it came out, and then I ended up seeing a lot of footage of the later Colossi in the game. So, like, I figured out a lot of the earlier ones by myself, but the late game ones were ones where I kind of already had the knowledge in the back of my mind on what to do. But here, if we can get him to charge, this should do it. I like how it's very distinct that the plates come off. Now, one thing I found interesting about this part is that in all the other times I fought him, basically I'll just go here and I'll jump on him, and then, you know, he stays here and I stab him and that's it, it's all over. But it's interesting in this version, like the second I jumped on him, he started running away and then ran all around the map, and since he was running so fast, I wasn't able to, like, actually attack him. So, I'm not sure how that works, but that was also a nice failed jump from me. I think one thing what you need to do, though, that would probably work a little better, is if you get him to run into something first, because you'll see later, I get him to run into a pillar, and then he's stunned, and then I can just go right over and stab him, so kind of similar to Kuromori. Always makes me think of Kuromori Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm back at it with those references again. Had a little bit there, took me by surprise. He knocked me off by jumping under a small ledge. I was like, hey, you, get back here. Don't do some kind of cheap tactic thing like that to me. That's not very fair. But once you get onto him, the fight is pretty much over. He doesn't take too many stabs, and it seemed that even though he was shaking around, I may have just somehow been in the perfect spot where I was still able to do fully charged stabs against him, like as you see here. So just keep that going, and you'll have conquered the 14th Colossus. I hope all these sounds are turning out relatively decent, because it would be a shame for me to have to record all 4 hours of this again. I would not be prepared for that. Cenobia. And this fight it's a switch up, especially near the end of the game, after everything you've done. But more details on that later. So, this next part of the video is sponsored by the great taste of 23 flavors of Dr. Pepper. I have many sponsors now because, as you know, I am the 7,193,587,291st most famous ASMR YouTube channel of all time, as you know, you all should know by now. So, we are now on our way to the 15th Colossus, which is Argus. And Argus is another Minotaur type humanoid-ish colossi. He is an interesting one because I do find that the method to actually get on him is kind of vague and obscure the first time you fight him, but once you know what you're doing, it is a fun fight. And there's some nice, cool, epic moments to it. So, to actually get to Argus, you don't go down the same path to Pelagia. What you're actually supposed to do is basically go to the very far corner, the top right side of the map, as close as you can get, basically. To quote the wiki on this, a better way is to go west around the shrine, take the Northland Bridge, and head alongside the giant bridges and go into Celosia. From here, the Northland but the giant fallen pillar will block her from coming along with him. Climb around the pillar and continue down the hall and up the steps to enter the main area of the fortress. The area is unexpectedly empty. The sword will direct the player at the east end of the arena. As Wanderer approaches the edge, the earth shakes and two enormous hands appear before the Colossus pulls itself up the wall. Yeah, so basically that. I don't know if it's just me. Did anyone else ever notice that, like, if you're just talking, like, at a normal volume and just sort of happen to go into a bit of a whisper for, like, a few seconds, it just seems to be, like, an extra level of ASMR shivers. I don't know if I'm the only one that notices that. You can let me know, but it was like, if just someone's talking in the video and then they sort of just drop into a whisper for, like, half a second, it just seems to be extra effective. Can I get, like, a trademark on that? Hashtag trademark whisper drop. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. Well, you don't call it a whisper drop. Or something along the lines of that, because I can't really think of anything else to call it, but what's a good video with that? Is it Whisper Willows? I think is their channel name. Yeah. I noticed that she does that a lot in her videos. Just sort of slips into a whisper, just a few extra little things at the end of the sentence, and I don't know, it just seems if you're doing that, it just becomes extra effective. So, yeah, that's the thing. So we're finally almost to the fight here. So, what you have to do is just go all the way down to the end, and that's where Argus will be waiting for you. So the trick to this fight, it took me forever to figure it out, because it's something that not a lot of people will notice on the first time. What you have to do is get Argus to sort of stand, like, on these platforms on the side, and when he's standing on the middle, slightly raise it up a tiny little bit, and that allows you to actually jump up on the next ledge to keep going to the next area. kind of special jump or something like that, but I'm never good at all these speedrun stretch. I'm like, I think I do everything perfectly, and it just doesn't seem to work the way that I want it. So, in any case, get him to come stand over here, just whistle or shoot an arrow at him or something like that, and he should stomp on that spot. And then the next tricky part after that is just getting to advance to the other areas. Because I remember the first time I did this fight, like, you had to get him to like hit these pillars at the right spot, and he never seemed to do that, and it was a little frustrating. But in any case, there's the little boost you need to get up to the next ledge, and then here you need him to hit the pillars, and it causes like an extra brick to fall down, and that boosts you up a little bit. Pardon me. And yeah, that's the only thing that just sometimes he just refuses to like properly hit the spot, and sometimes it just doesn't work. Like, you'll see here, the very first hit he did, it got that brick to fall, but I know there's some fights where it just seems like he keeps hitting and smacking around, and nothing works. So it's just sort of a little random sometimes, but that's okay. We still love this game because it's really unique and interesting. If I can actually, properly get up to where I need to go, that is always important. So, this next bit is one of the reasons I really like this fight, because you get to do the classic leap from a high place to jump on the Colossus. And one thing you can do that the game never tells you is you can do a jump attack. And so it's like you have to jump and then in midair do the stab buttons like R1 and square. And if you manage to land right down on his weak point, you actually do a ton of damage. So it's really useful because you'll kill him faster, and then you'll, get on there doing damage without having used any of your stamina. So it's a good thing to keep an eye on. So if you just sort of watch the next part carefully, you'll sort of see how I sort of get that down. Just gotta time it perfectly, and there we go. I took him for probably nearly maybe a quarter or a third of his health. So it's very effective. I know a lot of the speedrun strats will try to do it. So once you're here on his head, this is where you have to do the most damage to him. He does shake around a lot, probably more so than the other Colossi for the most part. That's of course because he's, one of the last ones in the game, so it's going to be made a lot more difficult for you. Then once you've got this sigil down, the next part is kind of tricky. There is a weak spot on his arm that you have to hit, and then he'll drop his weapon, and you have to get his hand, and you see I tried to drop onto it, and of course he turned, so I missed it and I fell down. But not to worry, you can actually just simply shoot the spot with an arrow. So he'll drop his weapon, and then he will then have the weak spot on the inside of his fist. Now, thankfully, he is not smart enough to pick up his weapon again, and he's also not smart enough to simply close his fist when you've grabbed on. So you need to get him to bait an attack, and he'll sort of do a sort of fist slam, and then once he does that, then that was when you would get onto the fist. So you're supposed to do, which is not very obvious from the get-go. But once you know what you're doing, it's a pretty straightforward fight. Also, you'll probably be very weak when you actually get to attacking this fist, so you should only need like one good stab here or there. A few bits of trivia as well to round out this segment. Along with Hydrus and Celosia, Argus is the most northerly of all the Colossi. Argus is the second of 3 Colossi that have their own exclusive track whilst fighting them. The track gatekeeper of the castle ruins is unique to Argus. Argus' roars are very similar to the roars of Basaran. It is possible to disarm Argus before attacking or even reaching any other weak point sigil, provided the player uses a strong projectile and is accurate enough. Significant damage will be done to the sigil on Argus' right arm to make it drop its weapon. If this is done first, Argus will capable of breaking the 2 bridges and dislodge onto rocks from the roof of the narrow hallways. It uses its now empty right hand to do so. Let's see here. That's kind of really it. Yeah. He's a nice fight, you know. So, after this, we're pretty close to the end now, because we're on to the last Colossus, which is Malus. And, yeah, he's at the very bottom of the map, and he's definitely one of my favorites in the game. He's, pretty much requires all of the skill and knowledge that you've learned to defeat him. So, we're gonna head over there now. Now it is important to note that after you beat Malus, the game will end. Like, you'll go straight then into a new game plus. So if you did want to do any other things like finding the lizards to kill or getting any of the fruit, then you'll need to make sure to do that before you fight Malus. So, the path is probably the easiest to get to because all those little clouds that would block your view normally, they're all going to be gone except for the ones at the bottom. So, it's a pretty telltale sign of where you need to go. It's kind of interesting because I feel that there's so much to this bottom section of the map that you really don't need to visit. There's only 1 or 2 colossi in this area, but it definitely has some of the most beautiful scenery, specifically the bottom left corner. There's all these very narrow bridges and lots of hawks flying around. It's really very pretty. And there's even a bridge where you have to have aggro do a jump over it. mess it up, I'm pretty sure that if you haven't saved here, you'd have to run all the way back. So, make a save here and get the last lizard if you haven't got them already. And head down for this very emotional part. So, this next bit, there's a collapsing bridge, so you have to ride aggro across at full speed. And when you get to the end, she'll throw you across and sacrifice herself so that you can make it. This always reminds me of the Game Grumps video where they played through, and I can never remember which was which between Danny and Aaron, because I always think that Aaron sounds like what I think an Aaron would sound like, but in any case, whichever one of them was playing, because the other one was like building them up, saying, "Oh man, dude, I love aggro. Isn't aggro the best? Yeah, I love aggro." And then this part happens, and then they're like, "Oh, did you totally build that up just, so that you could get me all upset at this next bit?" And yep, they totally did. But not to worry, spoiler alert, somehow aggro's still alive after that and has a slight limp. So, can we get an award for aggro for being like the ultimate trooper? Like, she sticks with you no matter what, gets hit by Colossus laser beams, falls down like a giant bottomless, pretty much chasm. Still manages to climb and make her way back to help you out. Like, that is trooper right there. So, give her a medal for it. Yeah, so next thing, you got to move forward still though, right? This Colossus must be defeated. And I really love that the way it just seems that the sound has sort of faded away. Like, it's not like there was a triumphant score or anything at that part of the game, but just the way that the sort of peaceful nature, now it's all dark and it's rainy, and sort of like white noise of the wind howling just slowly seems to start overpowering everything as you're making your way, and then the rain and the lightning sets in. It's just really great the way it's like slowly building up the transition for this to be the final battle. And the music, when it actually does start, really complements it too. The track, I believe, is called Demise of the Ritual. And I like that because with a lot of the final boss scores, it's like the big, super dramatic track. But this one, it's very slow, and it's very somber, and it's really what it should be at this point in the game, because it shouldn't be a big triumphant victory, at least from a storytelling perspective. Much in the same way of the piano track for Quinn's theme, Dark Souls. It's also very melancholic, and so, maybe it's like a Japanese game thing, I don't know, but I really like it. It's very artistic, it's very good, very unique. So, you're gonna make your way up the path here, and yeah, you'll see it's slowly getting even more stormy, and there's lightning, and I just love the atmosphere to this bit so much. Now if you take a step forward, it kind of triggers the cutscene right away, so I usually like to take a minute just to, observe the area in its full glory. And I will say this is definitely one of the bosses that I think improved the most from the remaster. And that's because, like, the storm really feels stormy with the fog and the rain and clouds. And here I'm just taking one last look at all the Colossi that we previously conquered. So, I like the idea that Malus, he's sort of been stuck in the ground sort of a stealth, dodging level. And I like it, it's, there's always the challenge of getting on the Colossus, and then the challenge of staying on, but in this case there's a great challenge of actually just simply getting in close proximity. And I know there is a way, if you really carefully time it, to get to him without having to do all these pathways here, but I've tried it and I always get really messed up by those bolts. So, not great at the speedrunning strats, unfortunately. I will say this part I felt was a lot more difficult in the remaster bit, because since the lighting is so, more realistic, it means it's a lot more darker and harder to see all the ledges you're grabbing on, and you really have to use that lightning that lights up everything to your advantage. She's gotta follow the path here again. I just love this melancholic feel of the fight. It's so good. This part is one of the few tricky parts, and that's because I feel that it's very easy to get knocked out of cover because you can get overconfident thinking that you're safe, but even at this spot here, you're still close enough that he can still hit you, so you still have to take this bit with caution. So remind yourself that overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. And of course, then somehow he still even almost nearly got me there again. And you're not supposed to run up there, as much as it would seem there is another hole for you to drop down. Because if you do this, he's just gonna keep hitting you again. So, then I realized what that was for. Please be nice to me in the comments. I didn't say this was a perfect walkthrough. You're gonna have to find someone else for that. Unless you really want a perfect ASMR Let's Play, in which case maybe what we could do is if we could get permission from all the super awesome speedrunners to let me use their video and do my ASMR narration over it, then perhaps we could find some kind of or something like that. So now that we've made it finally to the actual Colossus himself, you have to climb the first bit here with the sort of skirt dress-like thing isn't too difficult. It's just a matter of finding the ledges you actually need to grab. It's the second bit when you actually get to the skin part and the fur. That's where it gets a little more challenging. In fact, it was a bit that I kind of had trouble with because I couldn't fully remember the sort of pattern to it. But you'll see when we actually get there. So when you get to the back bit here, there's this minor sigil. When you stab that, he'll reach back with his arm. And then that allows you to jump onto it. And then once you're on there, he brings you up to the front, and here's probably the toughest part because of all the specific jumps that you need to properly get. So, what you need to do is, there's another sigil you'll see up sort of on the top part of his arm, and you need to get to that and stab it, of course. And this can be easier said than done because I find he likes to sort of rotate his hand, so one thing that you can do is if you just stab the hand, even though there's no sigils there, he will sort of stay temporarily still so that you can get it. So this is the tough part I found, that after you stab the sigil, I was trying to jump backwards, and instead I would just jump upwards towards the big glowy armband of death. And then I just sort of ran around several more times and kept on doing the same mistake of not actually jumping on to the hand, but just jumping up. And maybe it's because I wasn't pulling back properly. But in any case, eventually I will get on to that other hand. If someone else knows how to do the jump properly, then I'll let them all know, because clearly I had the wrong idea, and I'm not even sure how I properly did it the right time. You'll see here, it just seems that I kept falling down more and more. Interesting trivia fact. To give Malus great height some scale, if Malus were real, then it would be tall enough to be able to look directly into the clock face of Big Ben. That's it's pretty tall, you know. You'll see I tried shooting arrows at the sigil, but that didn't work. It is one that you do have to stab. And he nearly knocked me off several times. I think at one point I paused and looked it up again because I was just frustrated of having it not work. But the general idea is to stab the sigil. General idea. It doesn't always work though. Another interesting bit is that Malus is the most human of the Colossi, which is of course for irony's sake, because at this point Wander is slowly looking more and more demonic, having killed the other 15 once and deteriorating his appearance as he's slowly being more possessed by Nimrod's spirit. So you'll see there, it seems like I almost got it and I almost fell, and somehow managed to do that epic catch back onto the hand. So, what really would have sucked though is that since you take almost no fall damage in this game, if you do have enough health as I do, you can probably fall all the way from the top and not die from the fall damage, which is kind of annoying because then instead of just dying and being reset, you've got to fall, get hurt, and then climb up again. Maybe this might be the time I get it. Maybe, possibly. Come on, past me. You can do it. I have faith in you. Everything's gonna be okay. There we go. Finally. It's funny because I know in my first few tries with the boss, originally, getting onto this hand wasn't the hard part, it was getting onto his shoulder. And that's because what I didn't realize you have to do is you have to stab his hand, even though there's no sigil, to keep him still. And then you have to use an arrow to shoot the one that's on his shoulder, because then he'll clutch it in pain. And so now he'll bring me forward over there, and I can get on to the head. And once you've done that, the fight is pretty much over, as long as you're not too incompetent. One thing I like to do is if you stab the sigil, he'll go clutch it in pain again, and that gives you plenty of time to charge up a really long attack for the head. And I find it's important to do this because he thrashes around so much, it's sometimes nearly impossible to get a full strike charged up without him moving around. But you'll see it's not like he has too much health anyways. Once you get 2 or 3 good stabs and you've pretty much got him down. It's just annoying that he swings around so much. So again, good trick is to go stab the sigil on the shoulder to temporarily stun him. You could tough it out and just try to find a good opportunity, but sometimes I'm a little impatient for that, and I like to play it safe. So here I'm just gonna go stab the shoulder sigil, and this will give me enough time to properly stab him on the head. And of course, this is for aggro. Here we go. And ta-da! That's it. You will have essentially beaten Shadow of the Colossus. Now, there is a very, very long outro cutscene for this game, and I'll try to do my best to ramble over it, but if I can't think of anything specific to say, maybe I'll just read some death metal lyrics, because, you know, I made that joke on a comment one time, and people seem to actually take the idea, so maybe I'll read some death metal lyrics, or some trigger words, or some inaudible rambling, or something of some sorts. It's very hard for me to tell what actually is like effective ASMR, because I don't experience it when I'm doing it. So we'll see what happens. In any case, so the other elders, they finally managed to find a way to make it here. So they're gonna come in and see what we have done. I do think it's interesting that like 90% use as much of the demonic transformation in the remaster as I do the original. Like, I remember, it's not shown in this video, but I was looking at close-ups of my character, and you barely see any change, and then all of a sudden you get to the last Colossus, and then it's like full-on in demon mode, whereas it was more noticeable somehow in the graphically inferior one. Although the very deep blue eyes is a nice choice. And, I apologize for what I'm about to do. You might want to cover your ears, but I'm going to meme here. That is, I used to be a wanderer like you until I took an arrow to the slightly above knee area. I have no shame. I will do all of the memes if I want to, because it is my video. So, you'd think that this would kill us, but it's actually not going to. You get one of the final gameplay segment in the game, and I do like how they found ways to make this very long closing cinematic interactive. That is, you get to, for a brief moment, play as Norman Nimrod. So, this is the part where I've seen a lot of other YouTubers complain that the controls don't work properly. And I'm not sure what they're talking about, because I don't feel like I ever have trouble with this part. It's a little slow and clunky, I guess, but I kind of feel that helps drive in the nature of why the Colossi normally are so slow and lumbering, because that's the way it is when you are, and that's the way that they are in general. So, the way it works is, I'm pretty sure it's like square to do a smash attack, and triangle to do the breath attack. It doesn't really matter what you do though, because no matter what, these guys are gonna get behind you and then place a seal on the shrine to stop you from reaching full power. But it's nice that you get a few minutes just to smash people up. It can be pretty fun. There isn't really much of an indication as well. It's just sort of with the screen going away from the widescreen cinematic bit. So, in any case, I would recommend you at least mess around with the buttons and see what you can do, because that's the whole point of it being here. It's just for you to get a chance. We're almost there. Only 20 more minutes to go. It's just I find it hard to ramble about this when, I don't think there's like a hidden lore to this. Maybe you could come up with some kind of fan theory that, like, I don't know, Mono represents like neo-capitalism, and I don't know, Dorman's like some kind of secret communist rebellion trying to like destroy the nation from within, and the sword guys, that's clearly like, a reference to like some kind of like secret government corruption scandal. And I have no idea where I'm going with that, but conspiracies, that's what it is. So there's the breath attack, as you can
will say I was impressed by how long it actually took them to get back there and get the sword. I remember I've done it sometimes where it seems you got like 30 seconds and that's it. That was like several minutes there. Maybe they just changed it up or something to give you more time to play as Dorman. Kind of like how they totally changed the timing on Phalanx, so I have to climb up on the guy 3 times. I mean, I love that fight, but seriously, that can be annoying. Why? Why would you do this to me, Blue Point?
So, here he's gonna do some magic mumbo jumbo and place a seal, which, even though you're resurrected, still stops you from being resurrected, I guess. And you get one last little bit of gameplay, and that is you can try to resist going into the light. And I like that they gave you this opportunity for a little roleplay gaming. I gotta say, it's really annoying to see sometimes that people just get to this part and then just be like, oh, I can't win, I guess I'll just give up and just run into it. Like, this is why it's a bit more of a niche audience with this game, because you have to allow yourself to be invested even if you don't really have a reason to. Like, it's a bit of a Rorschach test thing where you have to project your own interest to be interested in the game. And what I mean by that is that I don't think there's really a clear designation as to Wander and Mono's relationship, nor do these tribe elders or anything like that. And so, if she is just some random girl, then, you know, you'll probably just be like, well, whatever, I don't care, but you have to come up with your own intrigue of the story, so that you do care. And I like this idea of just trying really hard, thinking maybe this time I'll make it, maybe this time I'll escape. And then also there is a trophy for resisting being sucked into the light for over a minute. So I decided I would just get that trophy, of course, because it's a pretty easy one as long as you've been maxing out your stamina bar. Main trick, of course, is just as soon as you get back to these stairs here, just hold on. But no matter what you do, it's impossible for you to escape, and eventually you get sucked in, and that's it. And with the shrine placed, the bridge is going to collapse, and the Forbidden Lands will be once again sealed from all outsiders. It's definitely a nice ending to the game, kind of melancholic, of course. I'm sure I've used that word a lot, but melancholic. It's a nice word. I don't know if that's like a common trigger word or not. I never paid attention to any of those sorts of things. But can we give that last horse rider, can we give him a medal too for being just a total badass and running away from the explosions like a boss? I think that is pretty cool. But that is not the end, because I guess despite the fact that Dorman got sealed away again, because if I'm ever thinking about like emotional deaths in video games, am I allowed to count aggro? Because it was a great scene, but she didn't really die. We thought she had. It was a fake out death. And fake out deaths can get really annoying when you use them too many times. Like, I'm recording this a few days before the Infinity War comes out. And, man, the number of fake out deaths that have been in Marvel movies is too many. Way too many. And so now when someone actually does die, I mean, I give them credit for it. Like in Doctor Strange and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I won't say any spoilers for those. But it's like, I don't know, I'd like to see there be some actual loss or sacrifice in Infinity War. Don't know if it's gonna happen or not. I mean, it's probably not gonna be the Guardians of the Galaxy, seeing as they already have a Volume 3 confirmed. This is the problem, Marvel, with you guys announcing your movies way too ahead of time. And, like, I haven't even seen Black Panther yet because it's still in theaters, and I wasn't gonna pay to see that movie because I don't know if it's that good. And yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling too much about Marvel and stuff. But here's credits and the Colossi, all of their corpses, because you killed them, you monster. How dare you do that? Though, we'll say it is a nice little touch just to sort of look back at all of them. Again, my favorite's probably Phalanx, 13th one, even though it can be a bit annoying to sometimes keep missing that jump to climb on. Also really love the 3rd Colossus. I really like Avion, 5th Colossus, and Hydrus. Not the biggest fan of the small, tiny ones. And it's just because, again, they don't feel as epic in scale compared to the other ones. And it just seems like Kuromori, or whatever his name is, he's just so easy now. Now they know the trick. And I don't care what everyone says. I like Basaran. He's very fun. It's very cool. Dirge is cool too, even if he's very difficult and very punishing. But yeah, Cenobia and Celosia, yeah, no, not a fan. No game is perfect though. For every amazing boss, there will usually have to be at least one kind of meh one to balance it out. I challenge you to find a game where every boss is perfect. Go ahead, comment on it, fight me on that. I challenge you. You might actually have the point though, so maybe I don't want to take that challenge. I'll probably lose. That's okay though. I'm looking at this list of trigger words, and Ico, but according to some that I've seen, I guess this makes Ico the sequel to Shadow of the Colossus, or that Shadow of the Colossus is the prequel to Ico. So, yeah, maybe I should then play that game to see how well that theory holds up. I cannot comment on it. But in any case, we're going to take baby Satan with us and ascend through darkness. The only problem is when we get to the top, see that the bridge is now broken so that they cannot leave the shrine. So instead they're going to go further up the path to the side to the secret garden. And this is an area that you actually are able to get to in the regular game, but you have to have a massive stamina bar to be able to do it. Like, pretty much maxed out, I think. I have not personally gotten to this garden in the regular game yet. And if you manage to make the climb when you get here, there's a bunch of fruit. But instead of increasing your health, it actually decreases it. And I read an interesting theory that, some would say that it's like evil fruit because it reduces your health. But if we're in the Forbidden Land and we're eating the forbidden fruit and it's giving us health, and also taking the lizard tails and killing the colossi increases our health and stamina, and we're also becoming more demonic. So then that means that this fruit here that lowers our health is actually like good fruit because it's getting rid of the demon in us and cleansing us, or something along the lines of that. I'm not exactly sure, but in any case, yay, wildlife. There's like squirrels and butterflies and birds and deer, and we're all at peace with nature. And I really hope this doesn't end up turning into that Christmas Critters episode of South Park, because that would be really messed up. But that is, for the most part, pretty much the end. This log's just gonna fly off to end us where we began. So, I'm not sure how well this turned out. Like I say, I've usually never really done like extra sounds too much in videos, and this whole mic brushing thing is a little new to me. So, we'll see how well it turned out. Hopefully you guys liked it, and hopefully you liked watching me play through this game. Sorry if I didn't do it perfectly, but also not sorry. It's a really good one. I'm really glad they did this remaster. I think it was definitely worth it, especially because it gave me an opportunity to actually record the gameplay on the PS4. Yeah. Once again, thanks to all the awesome other gaming YouTube channels out there, and all the other awesome ASMR channels out there. Y'all are great. Keep doing what you're doing. And I guess I didn't get around to reading any death metal lyrics. Maybe I'll just have to do a separate video for that. But I can't really promise on that. My upload schedule is so inconsistent that like every video I do is a yay, you're back